we didn't talk about Prudence Cummings Wright in yesterday's show. So let's just go ahead and talk about, because this is Women's History Month, we'll talk about Prudence Cummings Wright. Now, Prudence Cummings Wright is a 35-year-old mother, or I guess she isn't. She
was 35 at one point.
She was a 35-year-old mother of 6. Is that nuts?
That is nuts.
That is nuts. A 35-year-old mother of 6. I don't even want to do that math. That's not, I would love to have, I told my husband I'd have a whole basketball team of boys, right? So that's 5, 6, right?
Yeah.
I'm good with that. But
6 kids.
By the time I'm 35.
Yeah, I'd have to get cracking tonight if I wanted to have 35 kids.
Or 6 kids.
Oh, yeah, 36 kids by the time I'm 35.
Yesterday if you want to have 35
I would
kids.
have to start now. I would have to start right away.
So while the men were off fighting for our independence on the battlefield, the women had to organize to defend, protect their lives, their liberties, and their properties at home. So Prudence was actually the captain of her militia, which we forgot to put up there, but she was actually the captain of her militia, and she organized 30 to 40 women in her town to be the active militia to protect, defend their life, their liberty, and their property. And so on April of 1775, Prudence and her women were guarding Jewett's Bridge. Now, the interesting thing about guarding Jewett's Bridge is that on this particular day, the women were chatty, right? So I imagine.
Typical.
I was going to say on this particular day, right?
On every particular day.
Every particular day, these women were rather chatty. And April 1775, they're chatty, they're at the bridge, and 2 Tory spies approach that bridge. And what happens is one of the Tory spies stops in his tracks, and he tells Whiting, who was the guy riding with him, "Sorry, dude, I'm not going any further." And Whiting starts to mock. This is the history of the Prudence Cummings Wright family, right? They have their own historical website because she's a daughter of the American Revolution. The whole family was involved, ironically, one side or the other, right? Wow. And so they have a whole family history there. And so the family history tells us that at that moment, the one man stops to Whiting, Commander Whiting, and says, "I'm not going any further." And Whiting starts to mock him and said, what the heck is the matter with you? They're just a bunch of women, right? And so Whiting says, or the man with Whiting says, "That's not just any women. That I recognize one of those voices, and that one voice is the voice of," wait for it, "my sister, Prudence." And he says, "I'm not going any further over that bridge because Prudence will see me dead before she lets me cross that bridge." Now, I love telling that story because here's the thing. Civil war is not a battle against a bunch of people you don't know in a foreign land you've never been to and probably will never go to again. Our war for independence was a civil war. This pit family member against family member. And that's part of the reason why I, like George Washington, I'm not saying that I should be held to the level of George Washington, but I, like George Washington, am not a proponent of quickness to war, because all of the people out there who are like, let's just the Second Amendment and we need to get going and we need to get this over with, right? You've heard people say that, especially
yes.
where we go and whatever. I am the one that's saying, whoa, now let's wait a minute, because I believe those people say those things out of misunderstanding and ignorance of what exactly that would be, right? A pick up the Second Amendment and disagree with the government movement right now would be a civil war.
Yeah.
Which means, as Prudence Cummings Wright was so acutely aware with, and apparently so was her brother, it is now family member against family member. Do you have any family members that are sort of leftist, liberal leaning side?
Yeah, I have a couple.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. I'm almost the anomaly in my family, right?
Yeah.
So that means, and I don't think this would be true about my family, but there's a possibility that we could be on opposite sides on something like this.
Yeah.
And that's what Prudence and her brother actually experienced. Now, let me show you something. I'm going to share another screen with you. This is actually a screen. I do a presentation at libertyfirstuniversity.com called Forgotten Founders, where I teach of the story of Prudence Cummings Wright. And so I want to show you the slide that I have from the presentation that I give, right? So this one is the information that you just, sorry, I'm trying to get there. Oh, this is the information that you just saw, but this is not Prudence. This is me. This is me holding Prudence musket. Now, I want you guys to see the size of this thing. Now, those of you who have never seen me in person, people say this to me all the time, Sonny. They always say, you're so much taller on TV. I don't know. Maybe I just give a taller presence or something.
Yeah, maybe.
But I'm not taller on TV. I'm actually the same size on TV that I am in person. And I am a rather short person, 5'1" if I'm standing up straight. But I want you to see this musket is huge, guys. And you load them from the front. Dang. You don't load them here, right? You load them from the front. I actually mocked the loading of this. You have to, because it's really heavy, you set the stock down on the ground and you literally walk to the end of the musket. And then you pack the musket, right? Then you have to go back to the stock and pick it up to shoot it. And it's one time, Sonny. You get one shot before you have to try. You have to start all over again.
Well, you better be good.
Exactly.
You better be good.
You better be stinking good, because the time it takes me to do this, I might as well drop the musket and pick up something else and start beating people with it, right?
I feel like I'd rather have a spear or something quicker.
Right? Exactly. So Prudence, Prudence's brother actually rides away. Now, this is a poem from the Wright family, the Cummings, actually it's Cummings, her maiden family's website. It says, not one further step I ride, one who rode with Whiting cried. 'Tis my sister Prue, alas, she would never let me pass, save when her dead body fell. I turned back from Pepperell. So you see, this narrative, unfortunately, that we see in modern politics, that we see in modern school systems, that the progressive revisionists want us to believe that these women, right? I'm going to just show you Prudence again, that these women were weak, powerless victims of an oppressive, misogynistic society. They were not respected. They were pretty much just, if you pardon the euphemism, barefoot and pregnant and nothing else, right? So they were just servants to their husbands and baby factories. No, Prudence.
Well, she did have six kids, so.
But she was
kind of a baby factory.
She was also a BA.
Yeah, she was.
A total BA, dude. Total BA. And this, just Prudence, contradicts that narrative. And here's why I get angry about this, Sonny, because that narrative denies the historical courage of women like Prudence, who without them, their towns would be overrun. See, when they captured Whiting, they actually got stuff like documents from Whiting that were turned over to the committees of correspondence that actually helped them prevent an upcoming battle.
Wow.
They got secrets from Whiting that helped in our revolution. So what's funny is that Whiting, Prudence brother leaves, and Whiting goes on. He's like, women, what could women do? Right? Well, he found out what women could do, right? Because the history goes on to say they literally pulled him off his horse, took him into custody, and turned him over to the committees of correspondence, which were the acting government at that time. So that's really, really cool.